one entity involved in the whole equation that actually knows the true rebuild cost of the project, who is the contractor, is not allowed by law to negotiate that price with the carrier. When you're talking about commercial, it's just not about the damn roof. Where's your staging area going to be?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And today I've got Jason Elmer on of Trident CG. And what is the full title there?
We're Trident Group Inc.
Okay. And we're talking about maximizing profit on large loss commercial projects and a bunch of other stuff. There's news. 60 Minutes just did a conversation and on insurance companies and the fraud that's happening over on that side. My question to you is, could you give us a little recap of, first of all, your career and why you're doing what you're doing now?
Sure. So I was a contractor, Class A general contractor. We operated in 7 states simultaneously before I retired from that in August of 2022. We moved back to Longboat Key, Florida from Virginia. And right about the time I got there, this is when Ian was forming and my phone started to hey, you work in the storm. It was, a lot of the attorneys that I'd hired. It was, contractors. The guys, no, I told you I'm done. And the attorneys were like, well, would you consider coming to work, with us? And I said, doing what? Like expert work. I said, man, that sounds pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, we want you to do that stuff that you do. And it was there with Stephen Harmon and working a bunch of claims side by side with Harmon, Dave Lockhart, and Paul Udodge over there at Champion, and Yvonne Desperat over there at Gulfstream. It was a busy time. It was a busy time. So my retirement lasted 3 weeks. Just saying.
It happens for a lot of high-powered individuals. And give us a little recap of that 60 Minutes thing that just happened. What was it really exposing?
Uh, you know, I, wow. Well, the first thing that took me aback, and I just sent him a message on Facebook yesterday. I told Doug Quinn I was shocked to see him in a tie because I had never seen Doug Quinn wear a tie. He thought that was pretty funny. Like Doug Quinn doesn't wear ties. And they were going on about the fraud that they had uncovered. And I got to tell you, when Stephen Bush got up on there, Angelina, we were watching it here on the couch. She was asleep. And when Stephen Bush got up on there and he said, they're going to they're pushing you towards litigation. I about came up out of the chair, I'm fist bumping like this. I mean, Bush, I was, because I've been screaming this for 2 years. And I was like, yes, finally, thank you. And I thought that him and Doug did an amazing job on 60 Minutes. I really
Mm.
did. But I think it was when they were telling the story, CBS Channel 4 had done a story on Stephen David when we found the carriers, the hands in the cookie jar on a really big claim back during the end. And they came over and they were interviewing, Harmon in the office and Dave was going through it. But the what they were saying sounded very familiar, and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of bad actors on that side, and just in all fairness to the carrier, there's really bad actors on our side too.
Mm.
So, and
Yeah, and I think there's no full story without a little bit of that, right? Without understanding that there's some bad actors on both sides and recognizing that and still trying to understand, for the sake of the contractor and the property owner, how to do our best in this situation that we find ourselves in, where maybe insurance carriers have tightened up or what have you. Do you think it's way worse than it used to be, or do you think it's just as bad as it was?
No, I think it's gotten a lot worse on both sides, and I what I saw during Ian would just make you sick to your stomach. You would have carriers manipulating line items. You would have carriers not choosing the correct labor trade on commercial projects, in addition to leaving off line items and presenting line items as the remove and replace price when they simply weren't. So
Mm,
you're getting estimates that are below regular residential construction pricing on a commercial project, and this is why a lot of them are going to litigation when we're talking about the fraud on that side.
yeah. You know, you were talking about how a lot of contractors and roofers don't know how to counterbalance the carrier assets correctly. Talk to
That's
me
correct.
specifically about what you mean and how they can do better.
Sure. So, uh, again, talking about when Stephen Bush was talking about litigation, I'm like, yes, absolutely. The contractors, especially in Florida, and especially in Florida, when you have a commercial claim, you have to be able to shoot the client straight. Like, look, this is going to go legal one way or the other. How it goes legal is completely up to you. And when you have to give the carrier the chance to do the right thing, but when they bring in a building consultant, you counterbalance. When they bring in an engineer, you counterbalance. Mid expert, whatever that expert is, you have to counterbalance, because you cannot have all the resources and assets sitting on one side of the equation and expect a fair outcome. It's just not going to work. And they are spending a multitude of their time, energy, and resources in fighting these, while trying to get a claim settlement from the individual who has almost zero authority to settle the claim to begin with. And that's the other problem.
Hmm.
Yes.
Going back to this 60 minutes thing, you were saying that you've been saying this for a while. You know, some of the
Absolutely.
things that you're having. What have you been saying?
We've been saying that when it comes to commercial claim, especially within commercial claims, that you have, I hate to say it, it's the perfect storm after the storm. You bring out a third party with zero authority, who's there to address the claim simply because we don't want to get a compliance violation if you're the carrier. Then you can send out an IA. What they did to the independent adjusters during the carriers will make you sick. It's criminal what they did to the independent adjusters. And they've been taking the brunt of the heat of this when it wasn't them. To go out there, they go to the damaged property as the independent adjuster. They're doing their thing. They're trying to do the right thing. They turn in what they believe to be a fair and reasonable estimate into the carrier. Then the carrier chops that estimate, leaves their name on it, and ships it off to the insured. And the insured's going, what the hell is this? And that's not right to do to them. And or they will send out an incompetent adjuster, compounded by the fact that the person sitting behind the desk on the telephone, the desk adjuster, may have had 8 whole weeks of training at the insurance companies, never driven a nail before, has zero construction experience, and yet they're going to tell a licensed Class A GC the proper means and methods of construction as it pertains especially to a large loss commercial project. And I mean, when I was a contractor, we would tell that adjuster, look, this is above your pay grade, and your opinion on how to fix this, and $10 will give me something from Starbucks.
Yeah.
There's At the end of the day, the contractor bears all responsibility for the project. And I just, what's really amazing to me is that in any insurance claim, whether it might be a residential, it might be a small, medium commercial loss, it might be a behemoth of a claim. At the end of the day, the one entity involved in the whole equation that actually knows the true rebuild cost of the project, who is the contractor, is not allowed by law to negotiate that price with the carrier. And it's completely insane. It's completely insane. And it's creating problems.
You'd mentioned 3 instances where the fraud started. What were you referring to there?
Okay, well, I mean, when we're talking, in my opinion, the first place that it started was back in, it started in '92 when McKinsey and Company approaches Allstate. And McKinsey and Company, for anybody who doesn't know who they are considered the creme de la creme tier 1 business consulting agency in the world. Okay. And they go there and they tell Allstate, look, we'd like to tag along for a little while. We want to watch, and we believe that we can make you extremely profitable. So about 1994, that was one. Number two is when Allstate went public in '94. They used to be, I don't know how old you are, but a lot of people remember going into a Sears Roebuck and Company, and you would see Allstate in there, an Allstate office, because they were owned by Sears Roebuck. And in '94, they split from Sears and Roebuck. They took the company publicly, traded it on the NASDAQ. And part of the McKinsey and Company methodology for them, the CCPR, was that the upper level management had to own a certain amount of stock in the company. Okay. And when that happened in 1995, they had fully implemented this new delay, deny, defend methodology that Allstate McKinsey Company calls it the CCPR, but we know it is delay, deny, defend. What you saw was by systematically underpaying and dragging out these claims and putting the client into what McKinsey and Company refers to as the kill box. Wear them down, make it a zero-sum game. You can have the good hands treatment, right? Or you can have the boxing gloves, but you can't have both. And then when you saw the third one in my mind, Hurricane Katrina, you had a bunch of third parties come in, and rightfully so. With a storm like that, you can't just, it's unrealistic to think that any insurance company has got, thousands of adjusters just sitting in a warehouse every day playing cards, praying to God they get deployed somewhere. You have to do this. But when you bring in third parties who have they have a financial interest in keeping their client happy, and they call them doctoring engineering reports. They call them doctoring estimates because they didn't want to bite the hand that feeds them. This creates problems. And I'd like to just point out the fraud part it's a two-sided coin here. But that's what they started to figure out. And since Katrina, man, I would say it's going up exponentially on both sides.
Contractors love the catch-all because it makes every single one of their roof builds easier and more profitable. Protective netting wraps facade and landscaping to prevent from left-behind nails and damage. Homeowner referrals bring you more jobs, and insurance supplements bring you more profits. But my favorite part, the branding.
Illuminating. Very illuminating. You know, you've been doing a lot of videos like this. By the way, I recommend everyone follow Jason Elmer on Facebook, particularly if you're a roofer, and you're involved in large loss commercial projects. But follow him. But what do you think has been resonating with people? Because I just keep on seeing your stuff, and I see a lot of roofers kind of agreeing with you and excited by your content. What are some of the topics that have been sticking out lately as the most engaging?
Well, a lot of the guys, a lot of the roofers, in these claims, they're usually younger, and they're out there, they're in Texas, they're in all areas. But one of the things I'm preaching to these guys, I'm like, guys, when you're talking about commercial, it's just not about the damn roof. Where's your staging area going to be? If we're talking about a really big project, where are we going to set up cranes? Where, you have to have a 60-foot radius around there. How are we getting that material to that rooftop? Where are your toilets going to go? In certain projects, have you talked to the Department of Transportation? We're going to have to set up silk fences. There's going to have to be road cleaning per the DOT as these trucks are going in and out, depending on what kind of site we're doing. And, a lot of these guys, they're like, man, I never thought about that. And I said, guys, you have to think about this. You have to consider your MEPs, and a lot of them are, what's MEPs? And I said, it's mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So all of these things go hand in hand when you talk it projects. And I can't harp on that enough. It's more than just the roof, fellas. It's more than just the roof, and you have to take precautions as the contractor, because when you're the GC, at the end of the day, it's your butt if something goes wrong. You're either the zero or the hero, and you have to charge for what you need to, fair and reasonably, to make sure that you're in compliance with OSHA, with safety standards, with everything that you have to think about, like how. Instead of looking at your roof going, oh yeah, I'm going to make all this money. How about this? How can this big ass project bankrupt me and make me broke? That's the way you have to think. And
Mm.
that the guys are, and the gals, are taking to that going, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm glad to listen to him. It's flattering, really.
So give me like 3 tips on maximizing profit on large loss commercial projects if there's some that we haven't talked about.
Well, I would say the main thing to be taken into account to being profitable is number one, is everything accounted for. That's a big, huge thing. Because you can't have profit when you're going, oh man, I forgot about something this big over here. I forgot about maybe scaffolding or something like that. This is a place where people are coming in and out of the building. Somebody drops a tape measure off the 3rd story and hits somebody in the head. That's a problem.
Hey guys, this is Bruce by Don, and when dealing with insurance companies, you definitely need an expert by your side. So if you need someone to walk in, hold your hands throughout the insurance process, not really, Max. Deal with the experts, supplement experts.
You can hold my hand.
The second one would be what is your true waste factor for this?
Mm.
3, and these are for projects that we qualify, have you got a qualified OSHA compliance company in on that job? And they are very, very expensive per day. You're going to need this on these big jobs.
Okay.
And I would say the last thing, you're going to have to take a look at the landscape of that building. Florida's famous for having pavers, right? I wasn't there when they put down the pavers. I know that an ABC truck weighs 54,000 pounds empty Now I'm going to put my material on it. If I am in a grand drop market running on those pavers, you want to talk about something that eats up your profit? Screw up somebody's paver driveway in one of those commercial sites. And you need to have protection on that, including visqueen for not if a machine with hydraulics and it breaks, when and how severe. That's protecting your profit that you have. Because those are the things that will eat your lunch.
I like it. So we're talking about how to create profit on large loss commercial projects, but a lot of it really is just about mitigating the big possible downside in a lot of ways, which is like, it's good to know. It's good to know. What else, like, as far as like me not knowing a ton about commercial, I mean, I keep on asking people, but I'm still learning about it. If somebody's trying to get into all this, like you said, kind of those younger folks that like, maybe even this is aspirational at the moment. They're not all in on this yet. What else should they be looking at before taking the leap to do one of these bigger projects? Because sometimes it's not that crazy hard to get one of these bigger projects. Maybe a homeowner says, "Oh, I've got this big property." So like this, sometimes they come at you and you didn't know they're going to come at you.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, and I would say more than often than not. A lot of times you will find a contractor, and usually they're younger, and they have themselves a project that they probably shouldn't have taken on. It's a little over their head. It's like, they've done a couple of residential roofs, and all of a sudden it's like taking 3 karate lessons and thinking you're ready for the MMA. I say absolutely not.
Yeah.
But don't be a victim of your own damn creation. Crawl before you walk before you run before you fly. Do not fly into flying. Learn everything you can and gradually get bigger projects. Learn. And it's not about, with projects like this, knowing what not to do is equally as important as knowing what to do. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there's probably a lot of guys going, "You damn right." Because what you don't know will bankrupt you like that.
Yeah, and I'll just like, well, I can relate it to what I do for work, right? Like I've had large, and this is probably not going to relate, but I mean, it relates, but it's just maybe you guys wouldn't necessarily know what I'm saying, but large ass websites. Like, and I've had like projects where I had to merge like 7 websites into one, and we did these crazy, like, it was like 7 bowling alleys, and we had to make it one corporate website, and it was like, the problem for us was quoting it out correctly. Because if you haven't done a project like that, if you haven't done this big, huge ass project, then trying to give an accurate quote is probably way off. And you're never high enough because for me, the reason is that it was exciting. Like our normal website's like 21K or something. It was exciting to say 40K. But it was more than two. It was more than 2 websites worth of work. You know what I mean? Like it was like 5 websites. But I'm excited about 40K, and I think that's probably something that happens where it's like it's exciting to say 500,000. It's exciting to say 2 million. It's exciting to there's these big numbers. But if you don't know your ratios on things, you don't know what you need for profit to like really do that well, then you're just going to have something that ties up your time, ties up a ton of your resources for a long period of time where you're actually not doing other profitable jobs. If I had to
That
guess.
is right. And that would be the biggest thing I could tell the new people getting into, especially ones maybe it more than likely a retail situation. All money's not good money, and never, never take a skinny margin on a big project like that, because you can open that thing up, have yourself an oh shit moment, and you're screwed. So don't be afraid to walk. And, I did forget to mention one thing, and I harp about it all the time. And I can't believe I forgot this when you asked me about remaining profitable. This is going to, or maximizing your profit. To me, maximizing your profit means here's the final check. I'm putting it in the bank. It cleared. We good. Okay. You get that. And it's the one, I would say, the fatal error of most contractors that I see, especially in the storm restoration industry. They go and they get copy and pasted cookie cutter contracts that are not compliant in the state. And if protecting your profit, you best have a state compliant agreement on deck, because yeah, building your business, I guess, if you would, is like building a house. And you have to start off with a solid foundation, just like you do any other kind of structure. And that foundation is your agreements, your contracts. And I tell you, I see a lot of them come across my desk all over the country. And it's scary, because all they have to do is say, look, I don't have to pay you. This isn't compliant. Then they report you to the state. So not only are you not getting paid, you're getting fined. And I would highly recommend anybody, no matter what state you're in, Champion Legal Group. They were the ones that did my agreements. David Lockhart is one of the most competent contract attorneys I've ever seen, and you will be protected there. Client testimonial. Here you go. Here you go. Protect yourself right off the bat, please.
Hey, I love that. Anything else you want to share?
Man, I could sit here and ramble on for hours, but if there's something in particular that you would like me to address while you got me here, no problem. Fire away, man.
How's this? Where can somebody, do people work with you on a consulting fee, or where should somebody go to get more on this? I'm sure that working with Jason on these things can save you a lot of pain. Where could somebody work with you on projects?
Man, usually where I get called in, Tim, is usually by my biggest clientele is the attorneys. Hey, Jay, here's the claim. Every once in a while I'll find a property owner, but it's really the contractors. At the end of the day, it's the contractor that comes down with the most clients. And they're starting with everything that's happening in our industry. They're starting to figure it out really quick. I'm not going to float the cost of fighting this claim for 14 months and then pray to God I get paid 18 months after that. That's no kind of a business model. And they're realizing, look, we have to bring these guys in right off the bat. So anytime that there's a claim, anytime after the carrier has been given a chance to do the right thing, when they stop answering your emails and answering your phone calls and treating you like an ex-girlfriend, now you call me.
I love that. And check them out at trident-cg.com. The podcast is put on by hookagency.com, Hook Agency all over social media. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening, please like, comment, rate, and review. And please contact our guests if he can be of service to you. Because as we have experts on that are useful to you and they get business from it, that makes more people want to come on here. And we're grateful. Now our YouTube gets us business. We just closed the deal right before this call from YouTube, and that's crazy, and it's cool, and I'm incredibly grateful that YouTube does drive business for us, and hopefully it drives business. I did have somebody. I talked to somebody at a trade show a week and a half ago who said they just got 2 deals from being on our podcast. So I hope that this continues to be positive for the guests. If they can be of service to you, please reach out. And we're just trying to bring together awesome people in the industry and learn more as we go on about, because ultimately, like, our business thrives when more people know about us and that we're part of a positive shift in the industry. And I think one major positive thing is that if you guys could be more profitable, whether
Yes,
it's
absolutely. Thank you for having me, champ.
your jobs or your large loss stuff. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. Peace.
See ya.